Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga. This is soft flow yoga. It's a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. So our practice today is called basic twists with props. So we're going to be doing some twisting postures with a main focus on our spine and how we can rotate our spine in a very safe way by using props. And of course in soft flow we always use props, but just want to use them a little bit more effectively and maybe a little bit differently in this class so we can get the most out of our twisting postures. So here's the props, and they're not any different from any of our other classes. You want a blanket or something soft that you can sit on and kneel on. So a blanket or another yoga mat that you can roll out on top of your other one. It could be a folded towel, something like that, just something soft underneath you. And then a couple of yoga blocks. Now the yoga blocks that you might purchase from a yoga store, for example, they're just these very firm kind of styrofoam. So they are firm, but they have a little bit of cushion to them, alrighty? So you could use hardbound books for this, but I think for one of the postures that we're going to be using props, using the block, a book might be too hard or heavy to hold. So if you don't have a block, a yoga block like this, then you can also use a small pillow, like from your sofa. So you have that. And then a bolster. Now this is still very optional for our practice today as well. So you can use a bolster or a big pillow, something soft. All right, so go ahead and just take a comfortable seat. Just go ahead and make your way to something soft like your pillow or cushion, even a chair if you want to sit in a chair before we get going. And you can also sit up against a wall if you need a little extra support for your back, for example, or if you want to extend your legs, you can also do that. So I invite you to sit up as tall as you can here with a fully extended spine. Maybe take a few moments just to roll your shoulders. Nice big circle of your shoulders. You might inhale as you lift your shoulders up toward your ears. And exhale, you can release. Do that again. A nice lift of the shoulders up towards your earlobes. Inhale. And exhale, lower the shoulders. You may even feel a little softness, release of tension down through your neck and shoulders. Now feel free just to hold here in stillness. Continue to connect to your breath and be mindful of your breathing. You can do this with your eyes open if you'd like, just gazing forward or downward at the ground, or keep your eyes closed. Taking this opportunity to move fully into the space, to fully connect and be aware, more present. Slow, steady breaths in, complete breaths out. Good. Just maintain this connection, even deepen this connection as you're breathing in and out. You want to be able to breathe in a fashion where you can experience the breath moving through you, or even just be aware of how your body is responding to your breath. For example, maybe just the simple rise and fall of your chest or belly as you inhale and exhale. And pay attention to the sound of your breath. So if you can't hear your breath, just breathe a little bit more heavily or deeply, or just turn up the volume of your breath. This is our breathing meditation, fully in the moment. Soon we'll use the breath to help us move our bodies. Let's take 3 more breaths, using these breaths to prepare your body to move. And when we move, it's a very simple motion. Nice. And when you're ready to move, inhale and extend your arms out across the room with some good effort. A nice stretch. Reach all the way up to complete that inhale, reaching for the ceiling. Exhale, extend your arms out, as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you, finishing the exhale as you bring your arms back down to your side. Do that again. An inhale, extending your arms out. Good reaching effort out, then all the way up. And exhale, reaching out, and then back down by your side. Go ahead and continue this motion on your own, breathing and moving at your own pace. Here you just want to be aware of the energy in the arms, hands, and fingers as you move them up and down. Also notice the lengthening through the sides of your body. Now that's actually going to help us with our twisting. Okay, and just providing length, a little stretch sensation down through the sides will perhaps provide some more room for our bodies to rotate and twist. Pay attention to your shoulders. And of course, being aware of your breath. Our moving meditation. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Take your time. When you're complete, you can just bring your arms back down by your side. Let everything just relax here. Body returns to stillness, awareness of the sound and feeling of the breath. While still seated, let's take a mild back bend. From here, you might want to take your hands behind you. Just prop yourself up onto your fingertips. So this provides more length in your arms. And at the same time, roll or draw the shoulders back a bit. You'll tip your chin up slightly, providing a little bit more space in your neck, but also through your chest, your heart area, from shoulder to shoulder. Now, we'll take a nice full breath in. As you do so, press your fingertips into the floor. Feel that energy shoot right up the arms. Inhale here. Fill up your lungs. Then as you exhale, draw your belly in, squeezing. Inhale, fill up your lungs. Feel that stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. Exhale, draw belly in. And as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. So really feeling the activation of your body in this posture, the seated mild back bend or heart opener. Finish this breath and take 2 more. And when you're complete, just lower your head. Looking forward, and you can walk your hands towards yourself to sit up nice and tall. You can even rest your arms and hands in your lap by your side. Another full breath in and out. So that was our mild back bend. Let's take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, let's go ahead and uncross the legs, placing the soles of the feet together. Here's where you want to use your props. Now earlier I was talking about your yoga blocks. You can use your yoga blocks. You could use your hardbound books for this part, or even those soft pillows from your sofa just underneath the legs, so your legs can actually rest on the props here. Then hold on to your ankles or shins, or if you can reach your toes. But if you're reaching your toes and you're folded over or bent over like this, then you may want to slide the hands back to your shins or ankles so you can sit up nice and tall initially. So here we go. We're going to inhale, feel the torso rising up out of the pelvic bowl, and then exhale, draw belly in and send your heart and chin forward. So we're hinging forward just a little bit, maintaining as best as you can a lengthened spine at the moment. Take another breath in, keeping that spinal extension. Exhale, draw belly in and hinge forward a tiny bit more. Pause so you can assess how this feels for you. We do want that extended spine, that engaged core, but also notice what's happening in the inner legs. If you're feeling a light stretch, then you're probably in the right spot. If you need a little bit more without forcing the position, you can go a little deeper. Here's some other options for you. You can maintain the lengthened spine, or you can round your back. Just lower your chin and even lower your body a little bit more. This shouldn't compromise the pose at all, meaning you're not forcing your body to go any deeper than it can at the moment. The rounded spine should feel comfortable enough so you can fold a little bit deeper. It does add a new sensation, not only to the inner legs, but also a little stretch quality in the back. This is also good preparation for some of our twisting postures that we're doing. Now, as you're breathing in and out, let's pay attention to the back body. Since when we were in our back bend with the heart opener, there's that nice expansion of the chest area and feeling that opening across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. In this case, thinking about your back, expanding the upper back as you inhale, filling up your lungs. And even here you might feel sensation across the upper back from shoulder to shoulder. In the same exhale, where you might still draw belly button in towards spine, but maybe a little bit more lightly. This is our seated version of bound angle pose. Let's take 2 more breaths. To come out of the posture, rather than just rolling yourself back up, which you can do, to re-extend the spine, just lift your chin a little bit, start to look forward out past the edge of your mat, just to help re-extend the spine. And then maybe placing hands on your mat to help press and lift yourself up until you're nice and tall once again in your seat. We'll hold for a moment, just take a breath in and out. Moving to our next posture, it's our hands and knees, so we can move our blocks out of the way. And just maneuver yourself carefully and slowly to your hands and knees. Use your blanket or towel or doubled up mat if you'd like for that extra padding underneath you. I'm just going to unfold mine so I have a nice rectangle. So I can place my knees and my hands just like this. So coming to this tabletop posture, moving into our cat-cow flow. Now, even though we say cat, then cow, we actually start with cow. So it's an inhale, lifting head, opening the chest forward, arching the back, creating a back bend. The belly kind of drops while your pelvis tips back. This is cow pose. That's an inhale. Then exhale, we're going to tug the tailbone under, pelvic tilt under, feel belly button pull up towards spine, feel that natural curve of the spine, chin to chest. Then reverse it. Inhale, feel the pelvis tip back. There's the arched back. Belly drops, heart opens, look forward. Exhale, round it all out, moving into cat pose. Now be mindful of this flow here and what's actually happening. We're still preparing for our twisting positions. Even though we do this all the time in soft flow, this is also getting us prepared for our twisting poses. I like this because it's a nice undulation of the spine, moving in this direction at least. Getting that nice rocking of the pelvis. And even though our arms are not in motion, it still affects our shoulders in a good way. So just be mindful of how this feels for you. Finish the breath that you're on, and then take 2 more. Breathing with intention, moving through these 2 positions. Good conditioning for your spine. We'll pause here in our tabletop posture. Now remember this position because we will be coming back to it to do one of our twisting positions. I'm going to crawl off the blanket here. Let's set our prop off to the side. Return to hands and knees so we can get set up for downward facing dog. So if your hands are directly underneath your wrists, here, straight line, we're going to change that. Just step the hands forward so your wrists are now out from underneath the shoulders. Do spread out your fingers pretty wide to feel that stretch between each finger. And then when you place the hands on the floor, you've got a nice base, nice wide base. You're going to press into the floor or lean forward to put a little extra pressure into the palms, to flatten the palms and stretch them out. Tuck your toes under. Inhale, lift your head and open the chest so it's our cow pose again. Exhale, round it out. Belly button pulls up towards spine. At the end of that, lift your knees off the ground with toes tucked, and then lift your hips into the air. Experience the spinal or dorsal extension here, getting a little longer. Maintain a good bend in the knees. This should allow some mobility in your hips. Here, I'm going to suggest you wag your tail. Since you're in down dog, you can wag your tails from side to side. Again, just loosening up the lower back a little bit. With the knees bent, hips high. Arms strong and straight. You can do that by really pressing the hands firmly into the mat.
All right, we're going to take a few steps forward with the feet, maybe just to the center of the mat until your feet are flat on the ground. And then slide your fingertips towards your toes. You'll be in a forward fold, a deep one. We'll inhale, slide the hands up to the shins or knees, rising up just halfway. Right here, we'll pause here and take several breaths. This is half forward fold. We're going to make sure your feet feel planted strongly into the ground, solid. Slight bend in the knees here. Feeling a stretch perhaps in the hamstrings. Core is automatically engaged to help hold us in this forward bend or half bend, and maintaining a good extended spine. Here's what we want to really feel here, because it's going to really help us with some of our twisting postures. Hips. You want to feel as if someone's holding onto your hips and gently pulling you back, okay? But at the same time, you want to feel like the crown of your head is taking you forward. So moving in these opposite directions, just imagine that. Now let's stand. First, shift your weight into your heels so your toes feel light. You can tap them. Bend your knees, lower your hips like you're going to sit down, lifting the chest here at the same time. Take your arms out to the side. Drive your heels down into the floor to help straighten your legs, get nice and tall. Get even taller by extending your arms into the sky. Big stretch. And then bring your arms down to your side, finishing that flow. So our first standing position, mountain pose. Feel free to circle the shoulders here a couple times back, a couple times forward. Let's do another side bend here. Make sure the feet are underneath you, balanced on 2 feet, mountain pose. Here, we'll inhale, extend both arms up into the air, hold on the exhale. Keep reaching up. Inhale. Exhale, lower your your right arm down to your side. Right arm down to your side. There we go. Inhale, reaching into the air. And exhale, reaching over your body with the left hand over towards the right side of the room. Just like that. Inhale, keep reaching, good extension. Exhale, either stay here or go a tiny bit more. Not much at all, really. Just getting this lengthening down through the side of the body. That's what we're shooting for. Nice extension there. We're going to inhale and come back up. Let's bring that other arm up into the air. Exhale. Now the left arm comes down to your side. Inhale, reaching into the sky. A little bit more extension. Exhale and reach over your body. Like so. This is a lengthening sensation. This pose is sometimes called reed pose. We often do it with both arms in the air. We're just going to do it with one arm. So you can feel that little extra stretch because you're getting this little side bend. Again, making space in the sides of the body to help with our rotations. Let's inhale, take both arms up as you stand up tall, and exhale, arms return down to your side. You can even shake all that out. All right, so still standing. Let's take our half salute to the sun. We're just going to fold forward and come right back up. Taking our time, inhale, both arms up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings, arms out to the side. Bend your knees and sit back into an imaginary chair. As you lower yourself slowly down, bringing your chest down towards your thighs. Let the hands drop. You'll feel gravity take over. Let the head drop as well. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees and extend your spine. Return to that flat back like a table. Exhale, fold just a little bit, not too far down. Once again, shifting your weight into your heels. Bend your knees, take that imaginary seat. Lifting your chest, spread your wings again. Inhale, rising up nice and tall. Big stretch here at the top. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very good. All right, let's do our variation of Warrior One. That just gets us into some lunging work. Once again, standing tall at the top of your mat, mountain pose. We're going to start with soft knees. So bend your knees and keep them bent like so. Shift your weight into your right foot. Press foot down into the earth so you really feel the energy and strength of your right thigh. Nice and tall up top with an inhale. Fill up your lungs. As you exhale, just lean forward a little bit. You will feel your right set of toes grip your mat. That should lighten up this left foot. Just lift the heel. Keep the toes on the floor. Tap that foot back until it just stops, where it can't go any further. There's our lunge. But we need to balance this. You're going to pivot or turn that left leg outward. Press that heel into the floor and shift your body weight back. Make sure the knees are soft. You can easily stand like this. All right, we need to make some space. So place your hands on your hips. Feel like you're pushing your pelvis down towards the floor. At the same time, feel tall and lengthened through the torso. That's the space creation in our belt line. So we can turn to face mostly forward here in our lunge. Inhale to extend both arms up into the air. This exhale, bend your elbows to about 90 degrees, so something like this, and just face forward. So this is our variation of Warrior One. It's a slight lunge. Okay, nice and tall, but we're also doing this with bent arms. Couple of breaths. Now inhale and shoot the arms straight up. Exhale, arms down to your side. Actually bring your hands to your hips once again, leaning forward. Let's put weight into this right foot so we can easily pick up that left foot, step forward, feet together. Realign the body by taking both arms up into the air. Once again, reach and stretch. Exhale, arms return to your side. And if you'd like, you can shake all that out. Let's get ready for the other side. Again, mountain pose, a little bend in the knees. Shift weight into your left foot, press down. We're going to inhale, get a little taller. Exhale, lean forward a tiny bit. Feel the gripping of the mat with the toes. Peel the right heel off the floor. Tap the foot back until it just naturally stops. Heel lifted. But then we're going to turn that leg out, plant that heel into the floor, shifting the weight back to find your center. Both knees are soft. Hands on hips. Push down with the hands as you lift up through the torso, lengthening through the whole upper body, making space in the middle body, turning to face forward. Now we breathe. Inhale, reaching into the air. Exhale, bend elbows at 90 degrees. Our focus is forward. We're taking some deep breaths. Here we go, in motion. Inhale, extend the arms up into the air. Exhale, return the arms down. Hands to hips, let's lean forward. Put pressure into the left foot. Pick up the right heel, step forward, feet together. Inhale, re-extend the arms into the sky. There's our stretch. Exhale, arms down to your side. Excellent. Go ahead and roll out the shoulders. Even check in with your elbows and wrists and fingers here too. Very nice. All right, let's start a mountain pose. Let's go ahead and move through our sun salutation. Always moving in slow motion, taking our time, breaking it down. Inhale, extend your arms into the air. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair, folding forward slowly. Your chest comes down towards thighs, hands reach towards toes. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, come to that flat back like a table position. Now this exhale, fold, bend your knees quite a bit, your back will naturally round, getting low enough so you can place your hands on your mat and start walking or stepping the feet back to the back end of your mat until you're in plank pose. So you want to straighten the line of the body, just lowering the hips but not too far. Right here, inhale. Exhale, bend your knees a little to send your hips up into the air. It's a return to downward facing dog. What you may need to do is step your feet forward a little bit, not too much, just so your hips are high, soft knees. Press those open palms into the floor. Push energy in the arms. Relax your head. Moving to our second variation of Warrior One. Pick up your right foot. Inhale, extend the right leg back behind you. Don't worry about the height. Just really extend it. Reach for the wall behind you. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest, shifting forward. So your whole upper body's coming forward, noticing that your shoulders are now aligned over the wrists. Set this right foot down, just your toes, heel lifted. You'll set your left knee down. This is a variation to get this foot, this right foot in this case, up to the top of the mat. Just in case you can't step all the way up to the top, we do this. Getting the weight off the right hand, free it up so you can go grab the ankle, pick up the foot and place it up a little higher on your mat. Relift your left knee, pivot or turn that left heel to the floor. If there's weight up front in the palms, we need to take that weight away from the palms by shifting the weight back into that left foot behind you. You may want to rise up to your fingertips, even step them back to help everything shift back. Can you see this? See how my body is moving towards this back leg, freeing up these hands. Rise to fingertips, and then eventually bring one hand, then two hands up to your thigh. So we can rise up a little bit and to ensure a well-extended torso. That's what we want. Root or press that left heel into the ground. We're using some leverage here to help lift, hinge from hips, rising up, facing forward, arms shoot straight up into the air. Hold for a breath or two. So this is our second variation of Warrior One. Certainly more distance between the feet in our lunge, and our arms are straight up. Inhale here. Exhale, turn torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Make some adjustments with your feet if you need to. I like to turn that back foot because it was turned in. I like to turn it out. It just feels better on my knee and my hip. Nice and tall in the torso, straight up and down, arms parallel to the floor. Be sure they're active here. Let's take side angle. So you're going to follow your right arm forward, reach. So you have an angle in your upper body, then rotate your arms. So right hand reaching downward, left hand reaching into the air. And just feel this nice opening. We're going to take this left arm down closer towards your left ear. This is going to mimic that reed pose we did standing. So you can get that lengthening and stretch quality through the left side. Breathing in right here. Exhale, I like to lift up, making more space in the belt line so I can turn to face forward. Bring both arms forward, flip the palms up, then fold. I'm going to catch myself with my hands right there. Once they've planted, let's turn that left heel up. You're on your toes back there, runner's lunge. We need to change the dynamic of energy. Hands press into the floor, taking the energy away from the foot, right foot so we can slide it back, plank pose. Hold for a moment for strength. Bend your knees slightly, send your hips into the air, downward facing dog. Now you probably can't tell, but my feet and hands are really far apart, and my hips aren't as high as they could be. So that's why we tiptoe forward a little bit so we can get the hips up a little higher. That's all we want. Other side. Inhale, pick up your left foot, extend the left leg back behind you. Reach, good extension. Exhale, bend the left knee. Bring knee in towards chest. Shift your whole upper body forward. Shoulders over your wrists. Again, we're setting the left set of toes down. Heel is lifted. Set your right knee down. Free up the left hand. Go get the left foot. Pick it up. Place it up a little higher on your mat. Replant the left hand. Relift the right knee. Pivot right heel to the floor. Shift the weight back. Step your hands back. Rise to fingertips. As you do that, it just makes your arms longer so you can extend your torso. You want the hands to come up to the thigh right here. Press into mid-thigh to help you extend through the upper body even more. Root or press the right foot more firmly into the ground. So we have a lot of energy going this way. We need the same amount of energy going back behind us. Now we can hinge our way up. Stand tall. Inhale, both arms up into the air. Exhale, hold the posture. Feel what's happening in the body, lengthening through the sides, opening up through the legs. It's a hip opener in our lunge. Breathe in. Exhale, now turn torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Make any adjustments with your feet. Again, I'm just going to spin that right foot outward. There we are. Left knee bent. Check in, look at it. Make sure your left knee and toes are pointing directly forward. Here comes side angle. Reach forward, angled upper body. Rotate your arms. Reach left hand down, right hand up into the air initially. And then start bringing the right arm a little closer towards right ear. Reach more through the fingertips to feel the extension and stretch sensation through the right side. A couple breaths. Inhale. Exhale, rise up if you need to make some space. Start to turn forward, arms out front, flip the palms up, and then fold. Catch yourself with your hands on the mat. Rise up onto tiptoes behind you. There's our runner's lunge. Press the hands firmly into the floor so they feel strong. Lessen the weight in the foot so you can slide it back, plank pose. Hold. And now let's bring knees to the floor. We're going to sit back briefly in hero, and then off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. Let's sit in the center of the mat. Before you lie down, make sure you've got your books or blocks. We're still getting the body warmed up for some of the twists that we're going to be doing. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. We're going to draw the knees into chest and add some movement here. We're going to move into our supported bridge pose, after that into our first rotation. But first, a little bit more opening and release in the low back area in this case by circling the knees to affect the hips and low back. All right, let's set the feet onto the floor. Make sure you can still grab your books or blocks. Inhale completely. Exhale as you're breathing out. Lift your hips, slide your books or blocks underneath you. Take a seat on them so you feel comfortable here and they're not going to fall away. And there we are. There's our supported bridge pose. It acts as a nice back bend, a supported back bend to open up through the front body. What I just did, I don't know if you saw, but I'm trying to actually get my shoulders a little bit underneath my body so it just feels that nice opening through the chest. What this reminds me of is when we were seated and I had you bring your arms behind you. We did that seated mild back bend. So a very similar condition here. In this case, getting the shoulders underneath us to help open up through the chest. Take a few more breaths here. All right, ready to come out of the pose. Take 2 more breaths first. After the second breath, you'll press feet into the earth, activating the body so you can lift your hips, slide your books or blocks out from underneath you, and slowly come down to the floor. Now keep your books or blocks next to you, very close because we're going to use them again. But first, extend your legs out in front, reach your arms behind you, elongating through the entire body, paying attention to the sides of your body as we prepare for our rotation. Let's start by bringing just the right knee into chest. Just catch it in your hands. Lightly flex your right foot. We're going to carefully guide the right knee across the body to the left side of the room. Just a little bit here. And what you may want to do is take your, let's say it's a book or a block, and put it up to its tallest point. I don't know if you can see this or not. And just let that right knee rest on that block. Now, if that's too far, what you can do is just use your own left hand as a prop. Just hold it up. Hold it in place. So your right knee is bent. We've twisted over to the left side of the room and just letting that knee rest in your left hand. Meanwhile, the upper body, it's long. You're facing upward, both shoulders, meaning the back portion of the shoulders are still on the ground. So if you created a twist, so notice where you have sensation. Where in your back or even your hips do you feel this? All right, we're going to come out of the posture. Just use that left hand to come back to center. We'll set the right foot onto the floor and then extend the leg onto the floor. Hold here, just to allow the body to realign. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So either using your block as a prop or your hand as a prop. Let's draw left knee in, catch the knee or shin in your hands, flex the left foot lightly, and start guiding the left knee across your midline or across your spine towards the right side of the room. You might plant the right elbow on the floor, palm up, so you can catch the knee and hold on to the leg, creating the twist. Perfectly fine if the left hip comes up off the floor. Perfectly fine. What you still want to connect to the floor are your shoulders, if you can, because it just opens you up. Notice what's happening. Where do you feel the spinal rotation? Is it in your low back, mid back, or upper back? What parts of your body are affected? What parts have sensation? What do you feel?
All right, let's guide our way back to center. You can set the left foot down, re-extend the leg. Let's just hold here for a moment, allowing the body to realign. So that was our first rotation. We've got a few more to do in our practice. We're going to come up to seated, so you can bend the knees, bring the knees into chest. You can just rock your way up to a seated position, rocking forward and back with some momentum, rising to seated, or roll to one side. Press your hands into the floor and lift yourself up. So there we are. So we're going to be in seated, but we're going to come back to hands and knees. So you're going to swing the legs around you to the back, so you're on hands and knees. All right, now here you might want to use either one block, okay, or a folded blanket. Now my blocks are thin, okay, typical blocks are a little bit thicker than these. But I'm going to use one of my blocks, but you can also use a folded blanket for this next part, and you'll see why in a second. We're going to do another twist. Start by kind of shifting your body, and just kind of step your knees and hands over towards the left edge of your mat, so you have some room on your right side. From here, sit back briefly into hero, like this. Then you're going to scoot or shift off of your heels onto the floor, okay, to your right side. And this is where your blanket or block can come in handy. Let me show you. Here's my blanket off to my right side. I'm shifting and sitting on the folded blanket. It just gives me a little extra lift, just in case this displacement of the hips, really, if that's a little aggravating in your back or hips, then maybe a little lift like this with your block or a folded blanket can help. You're going to bring both hands over to your right side, prop yourself up onto your fingertips so you can sit up as tall as you can. Make sure you're not too far out at an angle, but somewhat up, like this. Yes, that is going to affect your hips and back a little bit more. Here comes the twist. This is what we want to pay attention to. Inhale, get nice and tall. That's why you're pressing fingertips into the ground. Make some space along the spinal column. Exhale, pull belly in, but try to move your belly button a little bit towards the right. It may not move a lot, but that's fine. Stop, or it's going to naturally stop. Now pay attention to your midsection, maybe like your rib cage. And notice if with an exhale, can you rotate the chest and rib cage a little bit to the right. And when that stops, maybe this right shoulder can roll it back or pull it back. And then lastly, your head turns. Sometimes when we do twists, we just turn our heads. Okay, yes, that's getting into our spine, but that's only the cervical spine up in the neck area. But we want to also rotate down through the entire spine. So that's why we want to start as best as we can with the low, then the middle, then the high. Couple breaths here. So we just kind of in this mermaid-like pose with a twist. And this is how you can use a prop. Now we're going to walk the hands away from the body towards the right side of the room. Lean and come down. This should soften the pose. And then basically crawl up to your hands and knees. Let me just face this way again. So we're on our hands and knees. Now we're going to do the other side, so go ahead and crawl or step over towards the right edge of your mat. Move your props to the other side if you're using them. Before we get into the other side, let's just massage the spine. Inhale, lift head and heart, arching the back. Exhale, round it out. So we're just doing cat-cow. Do it 2 times. Okay? Since we're kind of sitting in that displaced fashion with that rotation, it, in a way, does take us out of alignment, but for the proper benefit to create space. But then we come back to this neutral place and come back to a nice rotation or movement through the spine. All right, sitting back onto the heels, sitting out to the left into our mermaid position, using the folded blanket as you need to. Both hands are on your left side, palms on the floor or fingertips on the floor, whatever's going to make you taller, as tall as can be. And we're mostly just facing forward. Notice what's already happening in the hips. Inhale, get as tall as you can. Exhale, pull belly in. You're trying to move this section of the body. Okay, even use your hand to help guide it. It may not turn very far. Mine, I'm already have stopped. I barely even moved. My belly button was pointing forward. Now it's kind of barely at an angle that way. Inhale, get even taller. Exhale, kind of think the rib cage section. I've got a little bit of mobility there, not much. We're not forcing this. Okay, next exhale up here. Shoulder, chest. There it is. That's the end. Now we can move the head because you might have a little bit more movement in this cervical spine, neck area, turning your head towards your left shoulder. This right hand, I'm just bracing it against my left thigh here, really just to hold myself in place after you've created the twist. Once again, notice where sensations are arising in the body. And we can just call it sensation, call it feeling. You don't have to give it an exact name like, oh, this hurts. That's labeling the sensation. It's just sensation. Inhale here. As we exhale, soften by crawling away from the left hip towards the left side. And then we'll crawl up onto hands and knees. There we are. So we've finished that part. Let's do cat and cow. Since we're here, you can come back to center of the mat. Inhale, lift head and heart, arching the back. Exhale, rounding it out. Hopefully that feels good. You'll feel the change. Now that you've got mobility back in the hips and mobility in the spine. So you can see how functional this simple movement can be. Very good. All right, next rotation we're going to do right here. Now, if you want to pad your hands and knees, you can do so. I'm going to bring my blanket back in, get it underneath. But we do need a book or a block. We're going to be doing this twice. This is the first one. And the second time we do it, we might do it exactly the same, but I'll invite you to do a different version of this. This is thread the needle, but we're going to use a block. You can even use 2 blocks underneath you depending on how high they are. I'm just going to use 1 block for now. So let's see. I'm going to use, let's start with the left arm. Extend your left arm out to the left side. I'll sometimes say airplane your hand out to the left. Airplane wing your arm out to the left. And then as you exhale, thread the needle. So the left arm will come down and behind the right arm. But just rest your forearm and elbow on the block here. Maybe reposition this right hand just in a place where you can still root down into the floor with that palm. Extend your torso, just like you did in that halfway lift. Feel like your hips are being drawn straight back. Crown is forward. Inhale here. Exhale. Feel like you're trying to rotate your midsection, your torso, towards the right side of the room. Now, what happens sometimes in this pose, because I'm turning to the right, you might shift your hips to the right. But you want your hips to feel like they're being drawn straight back, stabilized, as we rotate through the spine. Same thing here, your crown is pointing forward. Even though I've turned my head, I'm looking to the right side of the room. Now again, we're going to be doing this again later, perhaps a little deeper, or just a different version. But this is how you can do thread the needle using props, blanket and a block here. Let's do the other side. So let's unwind, unthread, maybe reach the left arm out, airplane wing, and then back down to the floor. We'll do the other side here. Airplane wing your right arm out to the right side. As you exhale, let's thread it. Bring the forearm and elbow down to the block. Keeps you up. Extend through the torso, getting a little longer. Hips feel locked in place. Exhaling to feel a rotation. It's mild here, and that's on purpose. We are rotating. We're just trying to emphasize just the middle section of the body, the space between your shoulders and your hips. You really feel like you feel like you're turning your torso or your heart towards the left side, but keeping the hips square and in place, stable in place.
You're high enough because you're propped up on the block on your arm to provide some mobility. Breathe in and exhale. We'll unwind it. Maybe re-extend your right arm out to the right side and then back down to the floor with the hand. Cat-cow, same thing. After those twists, we can recondition the spine and hips by moving through cat and cow. All right, we're going to come back up to standing, so let's move the blocks out of the way, crawl off your blanket if you were using it. You're going to return to down dog, so we can make our way back up using our sun salutation. Plant the hands, step the hands forward first, but then press the hands into the mat. Tuck your toes. Inhale, cow. Back bend. Exhale, round into cat pose, lifting knees and hips. Feel the re-extension of the spine. Look at the space on the floor. Directly down and step into that space. Walk the feet forward, perhaps just to the center of your mat. Once again, slide your fingertips towards your toes. There's our forward fold. You might even hang here for a moment, just letting gravity draw you down to get a little pull and stretch in your back body. Slide your hands up to your shins or knees, extending here through the spine. Okay, back to what we did earlier. So remember, you want to feel like your hips are being drawn back. Crown is taking you forward. We've already done that action with some of our rotations. We're going to do it again in a moment. Shifting your weight into your heels, bend your knees like you're sitting. Walk your hands to your thighs perhaps, or arms out to the side. Drive heels into the floor, getting very tall. Reach up into the air, maybe a little extra reach and stretch. Feel even taller, more lengthening through the sides of your body. Exhale, arms down to your side. Very good. Okay. Now we're going to do a chair pose with a twist using props. So this is where you want to use your soft-ish block, something that has some cushion. This could also be your pillow. If you have a book might be too heavy because you're going to be holding it between the thighs here like so. Okay, so put it in a block or a pillow right here. Squeeze. So by squeezing to center as we are like this, with the legs pressing into the blocks, it's going to, one, remind us of our center, and it helps to stabilize the hips, keeps them locked in place. So let's do this together. I'm just going to turn this way. Follow me. Inhale, extend your arms up nice and tall. Exhale, take chair pose or sit back just like that, not too much. Then bring your hands to your heart. So we're sitting the hips back. Your weight's in your heels, so maybe your toes are light. You can tap them easily. We're squeezing the block. From here, where my hands are, your hips down to the floor. We're keeping all this stable. Again, you want to feel like your hips are being drawn back. Okay, and for me, it's more towards the back corners of my mat. That's the direction my hips are going. Meanwhile, as I inhale, so inhale with me, lengthening through the spine. Growing long. Exhale, draw belly in, squeeze the block, and you're going to twist to your right, to your right. Just a little rotation, just a little bit here. So very similar to what we did in our thread the needle. Hips are being drawn back, they are square, they haven't moved. Crown pointing forward, but we've turned to face that direction. What I imagine sometimes is like you're holding a water bottle and you have to twist the cap off. So the bottle doesn't move, but you're twisting the cap. So that's what you are. Okay, your lower half is the bottle, upper half is the cap. Inhale. Exhale, unwind. Hands on thighs so you can push to help stand up nice and tall. Re-extend the entire body. Reach. There's our stretch. Arms return to your side. Very nice. So chair pose, as we know, is a very dynamic position anyway, and then twisting it adds a little bit more, helping that rotation and stability of the body by squeezing the block. And you don't have to go down too low for that chair pose. Let's do the other side. So inhale, extend the arms up, get the length that we want. Exhale, we're sitting back and down to the imaginary chair. Stay high up in the seat. So here, you could go low, but here, soft flow, keep it up high, hands to heart. Inhale, lengthening through the torso or the cap of your water bottle. Exhale, pull belly in, squeeze your block, twist the cap off the water bottle that's stable underneath you. So a little turn, not much. I usually say mild twist, mild turn, this case to your left, making sure it feels like your hips are still being drawn back. They haven't swung out to the left or right. Crown, if you had to kind of just turn your head, where's your crown? Where's it still pointing? Is it to the corner of the room? Did you shift that way or this way? Or is it still pointing forward? That's what we want. So we get the rotation in the spine. Your low back is probably still flat, which means we're mostly rotating more through the mid and upper back. All right, a long time here. Breathe in. Exhale, unwind, hands on thighs. Press into the thighs to help you stand. Let's re-extend the arms. All the way up we go. Exhale, arms down by your side. Shake all that out. Let's remove the block. We're done with that. Carefully set it down. A little careful bend to set your block down onto the floor. All righty. Now we're going to do that thread the needle pose again. We can do it exactly the same way as we did earlier, or we can take it a little deeper. You can follow me. Let's start in mountain pose. Inhale, extend your arms all the way up. We always want that nice stretching through the sides of the body. Exhale, spread your wings. Sit back into the imaginary chair. This is all the same. Heart comes down towards thighs. Lower your hands, lower your head. There's a nice stretch and pull in your back. Inhale, slide hands up to shins. Pause here, flat back, being drawn in both directions. Fold again, all the way down. Bend your knees more. Plant your hands, walk or step the feet back. Plank pose, draw that straight line. Hold for a second here. Now let's bring knees to the floor. We're going to do our spinal twist. I keep calling it spinal twist because you are doing a spinal twist, but we call it thread the needle. Now you can bring your blankets underneath you if you need them. I am going to pad my knees. You can use the block again if you want to do the same version. The second version, we're going to bring the shoulder down to the floor. But if you don't quite make it, bring in the block. Let's start with the left arm. Airplane wing your left arm out to the side. Thread the needle, so left arm behind the right, but you need to lower your torso so you can bring your shoulder to the floor. Again, if you don't quite make it, that's fine, or bring in that block to help you. Now, I'm not quite making it, which is fine here, but I am quite low. My shoulder is not touching the floor. Okay, but I'm using my right hand out in front of me here to help brace myself. So I am kind of holding myself up, but I am lower, okay? Pushing or sending the hips back, sending the crown forward, getting more length through the torso and spine. Because we've already have this arm threaded, we're starting the rotation to the right. Even look to the right. Feel where the rotation is occurring in your spine. I can really feel this in my upper back. I even it's funny because it feels like I'm giving myself a chiropractic adjustment. I feel a couple of pops in my back, which actually feel good. We're getting a little stretch in the shoulder because the shoulder is kind of pressing down towards the mat. Now this is very active. So we're going to come out of the posture, push into the floor with the right hand so you can lift, unthread, airplane wing the left arm, if you'd like, out to the side, and then hand to the floor. Now if you need to rest off of the hands, which I do at the moment, I'm going to sit back. You can sit back, shake out those hands, circle the wrists, wiggle your fingers. Alrighty, so for this second version, you're bringing the shoulder down to the floor or toward the floor. Again, if that's too far, bring in your prop. Rest your forearm and elbow on your block. Let's do the other side. Hands and knees. Airplane wing your right arm out to the right side. Exhale, thread. Bring in the arm through and down. Lower your body. I'm just bending this left elbow so I can maneuver my way down, getting my shoulder closer to the floor. Again, this side, I'm not touching the floor with the shoulder. I'm propping myself up, holding myself up with this left palm, creating a nice right angle with this left arm. I'm adjusting my hips. Feel like the hips are being drawn back. The top of my head feels like it's moving forward, but I am looking and twisting to the left side. I can really feel this. It is dynamic. Now this is maybe taking us out of the realm of our soft flow a little bit. But of course you can soften it up more. One, come out of the pose earlier, or lift yourself up and rest the arm on your prop. Because I really feel like I'm at about 75 to 80% in this pose. So let's come out of the posture, pressing left hand into the mat, lift so I can unthread and unwind, re-extend the right arm out to the side and down to the ground. Let's return to cat and cow. Alrighty, after those twists, we come back to the more neutral, functional way of moving the spinal column. Now, doing twists is great because it does, elaborate or enhance the functionality of your spine. So you can turn, twist, move, bend. All right, we're going to sit back. Actually, we need to crawl off the blanket if you're using a blanket. We're ready to come to our closing practice. Seems like the hour went by so quickly. Alrighty, sitting back onto the heels, off to the side, swing the legs around to the front, sitting in the center of your mat, roll down, bring the knees with you. We're going to do one more spinal twist. The first one we did earlier, our first twist, we had one leg extended out onto the floor. This one we're going to keep both knees bent. You still may want to use a book or a block or both. Okay, two objects. Okay, send the knees, both knees over to the left side. If you're using two props, you'll place a block underneath the left leg that's bent. Okay, so the leg does not have to touch the floor. If you want, option, block or pillow, or rolled up blanket, for example, between the knees. That way you don't feel like you're over-rotating. Notice where the rotation is occurring. For me, it's a little bit more in the low back. And you want to still feel both shoulders, the backs of your shoulders on the ground. You can even extend your right arm out to the right side. Just a couple breaths here. We've done enough rotations, but just want to let you feel this last twist, even though it's one we do quite often, but feeling it perhaps in a new way, using props, and where it's happening in your spine. All right, let's come back up to center. Hold for a moment for realignment, and then to the other side. I'm placing a block underneath the bent right knee, and placing another block between the bent knees. Upper back, flat on the floor, which really tells you, well, I'm not really twisting in my cervical spine or thoracic spine. Okay, it's going to be much lower. Perhaps more in your lumbar spine, low back. Couple of breaths here. I think I can rotate just a tiny bit more. So all I did was turn my block a little bit so I can twist just a tiny bit more. All right, we'll take the last few minutes in Shavasana. So let's return to center. You might want to hug the knees in towards your body. If you like, even lifting chin and chest up towards the knees, creating a natural curve in the spine. And then set the feet down, set your head down, and then extend the legs out in front of you. Arms rest down by your side, ideally with your palms up. Take a few breaths as you allow your body to really settle into the pose. You made it. So very lovely work here. Moving into twists with our props. Now that you have completed your work, take these few moments to rest. Now, since we are very close to the end of the practice, do remember, it is your practice, and you can stay just as you are as long as you need to. Even as I end the practice, stay here. When it is time to move, and of course you don't have to move too quickly at all.
Feel free to stay where you are, but just in the interest of time, we're taking a few deep breaths, feeling movement return to the body. Making your way over to the side of your body. So I'm just bending my knees, rolling to one side, using the hands to help press myself up to seated. You can follow me or stay relaxed. Feel free to sit on one of your nice props. Feel this good re-extension of the spine as you do come to seated. Your arms can rest by your side, hands in your lap, or you can bring hands to heart center. Finish with one more full breath in and a complete breath out. Nice. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.